Welcome to the chaos sector. Enough small talk, let's just get right to it. Hey guys, Chief Cynthia sent me an important file. I haven't opened it yet, but it appears to be a presentation.
Can we trust her? She's second in rank, not the best source for trust in a police department.
I don't think so, she's entirely too stubborn to be deceptive.
Who cares? At this point, it doesn't matter who can't be trusted. If there's key information in that file, that's all I care about. Open it up already.
Calm down, I'll open it. What do we have here? Let's see.
Before we get started with this presentation, I want to apologize for my statements. You guys are doing the right thing. If only we had more detectives like you all, the world would be a safer place. This presentation is my thesis of the Idaho murders. Detective John, Detective Joe, and Detective Jane utilize all the information needed for your investigation. Since we all know the department has been sabotaged, it is wise to keep your distance from fellow detectives, government agents, the press, and all investigators. You may not know this, but they are watching you very closely. Whenever someone knows something, they become targets. This is a race against time. Now, let us begin. Jack Decor is the ex-boyfriend of Kaylee Goncalves. We know this. We know they were together for 5 years. Kaylee decided to end the relationship. Immediately, I was reminded of my own past relationships. One of my ex-boyfriends from college was not too happy when our relationship ended. He would spread rumors about me and flirt with my best friend. I didn't like it at all, it made me very angry. He broke down crying and told me he loved me, but I was afraid of him at that point. He would always follow me home, driving back and forth, asking for my forgiveness. I forgave him, because I did still love him. We ended up having a daughter together. I was 22, and he was 25. We got married in my village. Our families all celebrated. But he was not happy. Our family was dysfunctional. And, sadly, he committed suicide. His family blamed me, and his friends would throw rocks at my home. Finally, my parents decided to leave my village and relocate to another town in Romania. We stayed there until I was 35. I came to the United States 2 years later, with our daughter. Sorry for that depressing story, but this is why I want to help in this investigation. Brian Kochberger has a white Honda Elantra. Jack is the ex-boyfriend of a victim, whose parents have a white Honda Elantra. In fact, from my investigation, there are 2 white Hyundai Elantras, and they both are relevant to the murders. Well, seems we have vehicles that were omitted from the search, right? First, we examined the Alpha Phi home, a sorority for the students. The location of this home is on Elm Street, approximately 4 minutes from the victim's home. Pay attention, because I will give you a great lead. Take notice, it takes approximately 4 minutes of travel time to and from the victim's home from this address. There is a Honda Elantra parked on the curb. And we can assume it belongs to someone who stays in that home. Now this is a later model, ranging from 2016 and beyond. But, since we cannot trust the department and the model of Honda Elantra spotted in surveillance, we keep this model in mind. That is your first source: location, vehicle, proximity, and relevance. Now, let us move on, even closer to the victim's home, with a different Honda Elantra. Jack's parents have the same vehicle. There is physical evidence of this. Examine closely. Jack's father worked, or works, at a magnet elementary school. He has a white Honda Elantra. Now the problem here, if this vehicle was parked at Jack's home several months prior, where was the vehicle soon after the murders? There is no physical evidence of this vehicle in that neighborhood, from the time it was seen in bodycam footage months prior, to the night of the murders. I will explain why this is important later. Now, let us examine bodycam footage, which displays the vehicle at Jack's home. From several viewpoints, we spot a white Honda Elantra, parked at the home, facing Queen Road. I want you all to examine bodycam footage of an officer called out to the neighborhood, March of this year. As you see, to the left side at the home, there is a white Honda Elantra parked at the home. Examine several screenshots. Now, this is alleged to be Jeff's home. We assume he shared with others, similar to how many students did. Friends would decide to get home together, save money, and live comfortably. No parents allowed. So, although this bodycam footage is about 7 months ago, there is a white Honda Elantra parked at the home, which is alleged to be Jeff's home. What more do we need here? Although this is a video, where there is pixelation, we can see the similarities to the Elantra. Keep this in mind. From the body type, the rear bumper, the tail lights, and more importantly, the color of the killer's vehicle. And even more importantly, this vehicle that matches the description is literally parked close to the victim's home. There is more evidence, as the vehicle was parked at the home in another video. A young man was on top of a rooftop, and we can see the Elantra parked in the driveway. Also, there is a white truck, which looks awfully familiar to the white truck that passed by Kay and Madison walking down the street. Put it together now. The white truck at the ex-boyfriend's home, the parents' white Honda Elantra at the ex-boyfriend's home, and this location is literally right across the street from the victim's home. Do what you will with this information. Yet, the department is not pursuing this vehicle, which is literally across the street from the crime scene. Listen to me carefully. I need you to pay close attention. The department is hunting down the proverbial stooge, the fall guy, the scapegoat. They know who is responsible. If they don't know who's responsible, they surely know who is involved. Initially, our report stated that the victims may have been murdered approximately 3 in the morning. Then, it was redacted, based on Kernodale's food delivery and social media activity. That initial report aligns with everything that unfolded, you understand. The 4 AM timeframe was produced to align with surveillance footage. But, the surveillance footage that has been released is not physical surveillance, it is a screenshot, which appears to me a bit altered. In the screenshot, it appears that we are observing the back of a cell phone, as you see the cameras to the upper left corner. Now, if this is the back of the phone, how is it displaying the screenshot of surveillance in the front? It looks like a holographic image, placed onto the back of the cell phone. You can even see the individual's fingers to the lower right of the phone, indicating the phone is being held from the back side, not the front side. What does this mean? Well, it means that the gas station surveillance has never been officially presented. You do know we have that gas station surveillance, you understand. Why didn't the department release official surveillance? Remember, this vehicle was spotted at 3:45 in the morning. If the murders happened at 4:30 in the morning, where is this vehicle coming from? Listen closely, I will give you a hint. The news stated that the vehicle was assumed to travel on Troy Road, then the highway. Well, if this were the case, guess where this vehicle could possibly end up? Elm Street. Either the vehicle is leaving Moscow at 3:45, yet the murders didn't take place until 4 in the morning, or the vehicle is returning back to where it came from, on Elm Street, after the murders took place around 3 in the morning. There would be 2 Honda Elantras on Elm Street, the one that was seen in surveillance, and the later model. All of these Elantras, and somehow they were immediately rolled out as suspects. I have examined the cell phone data of Kohlberger, and it states his was physically at the home around 4 in the morning, and left there around 4:40 in the morning. Well, this would mean his vehicle traveled on Troy Road, then the highway, and came back to the home around 4 in the morning, then murdered the housemates, then eventually head back to Pullman, Washington. If Kohlberger was stalking someone, he would already be in Moscow that night, driving around the vicinity of where his victim is located. They were all in different places that night, but he would have a specific target, one of the girls. He would physically be in Moscow during the time frame they were partying. He would follow his target, observing their every move, and track them at a distance, back to their home. This is how a stalker operates. Listen to me here. And, I have to point this out, he is all alone, with one knife, entering a home full of college students. No time for him to go by, and was a stranger in the neighborhood. The probability of success is very low. Unless he had assistance from someone inside the home. Yet, how would Kochberger know this housemate, without any of the other housemates knowing Kochberger? Jack, on the other hand, would have multiple sources of assistance, would know all of the housemates, and would have a clear, direct, logical, and typical motive. An ex-boyfriend, who became obsessed with one of the housemates. It's cut and dry, the first person of interest. Yet, he was cleared quicker than you can blink your eyes. Kernodal was already deceased. Her and Ethan had been murdered first. They won't provide details about those phone calls, because they were emergency calls to Jack. Jack was never asked about those phone calls. Family members and friends are doing the talking for him. That is strange. The captain ruled Jack out as a suspect, but didn't publicly clear his name with any substantial evidence, you see. It was claimed that Jack was asleep during those phone calls. I find that hard to believe. At some point, from 2:40 to 3, Jack would wake up. We can assume he sleeps with his phone next to him, in case someone does call, you understand. The phone would vibrate on the nightstand, or even the volume of the incoming call would be loud enough to get Jack's attention. That is a key point, which makes me believe that claim is a lie. And if this is a lie, then we have to suggest that Jack woke up at some point. Or even, was awake the entire time, you see. Now Jack was nearby. Also, there is confusion about Jack's age, either 26 or 22. I will present my theory as to why such confusion exists. Jack was called that night because Kaylee and Madison were being threatened. There is audio that proves they were in danger before they arrived at home. Listen to this audio. This is before they hunted Kochberger. I know it's hard to make out, but the guy says, they're gonna get you for this, Maddie. He knew that whoever, or whatever, Maddie and Kaylee had been involved with, or in, will result in some type of consequence. Kaylee asked Madison what did she say to Adam, and Madison stated she told Adam everything. The context of this conversation is a conflict that ends with a consequence. It is not a coincidence that Kaylee and Madison had called Jack so many times that night, and then were murdered. This is all tied together. I believe Jack was awake that night, he was not asleep. This would be the alibi used, as he never answered the phone calls. But, he never answered the phone call, because he needed to keep his phone on hold, while the plan was being executed. Many would suggest Kaylee just called Jack out of leisure. Well, I think differently. Around 1 in the morning, they are warned about spilling the beans. Around 2 in the morning, they make calls to Jack. If Kaylee was concerned about what Madison told Adam, I do not think her calls to Jack were merely leisure. 10, those phone calls end, around 3 in the morning. Around 4, they are murdered. But, I believe they were murdered previously, soon after those phone calls stopped. Or, the final call is when they were murdered. This would be approximately 3 in the morning. I think they didn't think they would be murdered. They would not imagine such a horrific fate. From their perspective, they felt Jack could help resolve the issue regarding Madison's conversation with Adam. You understand? But for now, how about we take a break? If you want to hold this presentation for a brief moment, feel free to stop and take notice. Surely you have thoughts on my theory.
Well, it pretty much aligns with what I assume. That audio of the surveillance footage is very important. They were dead girls walking, and the guy with them knew something would happen. Maybe they weren't supposed to be murdered, maybe roughed up, or punished in some way. Nevertheless, it is clear there was a cause and effect.
That guy with the girls, has he been identified? Does Chief know who that was? Because he is a witness, by way of the information he has.
I'm following her train of thought here. Jack was not asleep. I think that's another piece of evidence we need to pin to the wall. The guy basically tells the girls, they're gonna get you for that. In context, like the chief said, this is a case of a conflict that resulted in a consequence. In which Kaylee, a bit alarmed, asked Madison what did she tell Adam. This is linked to the consequence. I'm following. Kaylee is concerned, while Madison is completely trashed, but she tells her she told Adam everything. Madison's condition was a bit aloof, like she was so drunk she didn't care about the potential danger she was in. Adam, who we need to look into, was notified about something important, and so important that it potentially led to the girls' deaths. We have a motive based on retaliation or a consequence for revealing information to Adam. The phrase, they're gonna get you for that, proves that this is more than one person, and they know the housemates. Going back to Kaylee's mother, who believed they knew the killer. The picture is still a bit fuzzy, but definitely clearing up very fast.
Since we're off the case, I'm fine with being a spectator. I want to hear more.
You may wonder, does this mean Jack is the killer? I don't know for sure, but it is evident to me that he was aware, and he may be involved. Let me explain the age discrepancy. In several articles, they have Jack's age as 26, and in other articles, it's 22. If Jack is 26, and Kaylee was 21, and they were together for 5 years, this would mean they started dating when Jack was 21, and Kaylee was 16. She would be underage, you understand. In this state, the age of consent is 18 years old. Jack would have been 21, yet he was dating a minor, which is legal in the state. I know the question you all are asking. If Jack is 22, then why is there an age of 26? It seems they wanted to make him younger, due to the element of him dating a minor, which they were aware of. And when Kaylee was murdered, his age of 26 aligns with the other man's age, Kochberger, who is 28. You understand? Let me explain briefly about the age difference. Jack being 26 and Kaylee being 21 would mean he has a bit more knowledge of things. It is not a big difference, but it's significant enough. Remember, if Jack is 26, this would mean they started dating when Kaylee was only 16. In that relationship, Jack would be viewed as a mature man to Kaylee. He is at the age where he can purchase alcohol, he surely had his driver license, had his own place to stay. Kaylee would see him as a mature young man. With that, Jack would be the leader, someone Kaylee looked up to, with her young age of 16 years old. The family of Kaylee had to know this, but allowed them to date. They are in a state of denial, not wanting to believe that Jack was involved in Kaylee's death. The mother, to me, seems willing to express herself more. The father, based on my observation, has the look of regrets of allowing his daughter to date an adult. The families may have known each other well, and felt it was no harm, as long as Jack respected Kaylee. It's common in other countries, where teenage girls are allowed to date older males, such as 18, 19, or even in their early 20s. But, in America, it is illegal by the law and by culture. The sister claims Jack is innocent, yet she is a civilian. That claim made me think, because our department does not need a civilian telling the public who is innocent or not. That was an indication that the family of Kaylee knew Jack was involved. They attempted, as you Americans say, damage control. If Jack was involved, this would mean the family of Kaylee allowed this man into her life at the age of 16, and now are living with the regrets. Kaylee was leaving Moscow and was not taking Jack with her. She was starting a new life, full of promise and success in the state of Texas. Jack, watching the love of his life depart, couldn't accept that reality. The inner circle of friends all knew that Kaylee was leaving soon after that night. It was considered a farewell celebration. But the killers also knew she was leaving soon, and stopped her from doing so. The housemates are involved. Dylan was an accomplice, perhaps for money, and even drugs. Bethany simply was the lookout, offered money, and even drugs. Zan and Ethan were murdered because you can't have 4 survivors, that is too many people, against an alleged 1-person execution. So, they had to be murdered to reduce the number of survivors, to make it appear believable. If Zan and Ethan were not murdered, then the entire chain of events would center around Kaylee and Madison. They were collateral damage. You understand. Research the articles I have included with this presentation. Click the link to the lower right of the menu screen, which includes my sources. Dylan's accounts have obviously been altered, so we have to assume the time of death was altered as well. I want the truth to come out, but not at the expense of losing great detectives. I will continue to assist in any way I can, but remember, I must do my job as deputy chief. Detective John, the lion can now attack its prey.
Well, she surely let her hair down in that one. I don't know where to start. What do you guys think? I see all types of connecting dots, but it's...
that collateral damage theory.
Yeah, that's very concerning to me. She believes Xana and Ethan were murdered first. This would mean the killers got them out of the way, because they would be a problem if they started upstairs first. By the time the killers would come downstairs, Ethan could try to fight back, and Xana could run out of the house screaming, notifying the neighbors of the violence in the home. Kaylee and Madison wouldn't have that ability to escape so quickly. They were on the 3rd floor. So, it seems Kaylee was the intended target. Remember, she was the one who seemed very concerned about what Madison told Adam. It indicates to me that she had the most to be concerned about. Maybe not, but clearly she was a part of the targeted attack.
If Jack is in fact 26 years old, then they were dating when he was 21, and she was 16. Both families would be aware of this. If this was his first love, and she ended the relationship, his first love has just broken his heart. He may not show it all the time, and even may appear happy at times. But since this was his first love, he believed they would go on to get married, start a family, and live happily ever after. There's a motive there. In fact, it's on high beams, to me.
The chief's personal tragedies may have motivated her to help in this investigation. She was working behind the scenes, and we didn't know it. There is so much to dig into at one time, but we will start with that home on King Road. Jane, I want you to examine that home. If you need to use Google Maps, then so be it. Joe and I will continue our investigation on the east side. A white Hyundai Elantra in Moscow, and specifically near the murder scene, was never mentioned by the department, no mention in a police briefing, and nothing in the media about it. I never thought it was possible to ignore an elephant in the room. Guess they have blindfolds on.
I bet that vehicle is parked at the home, in Google Maps Street View. That would be the wackiest thing ever. I guess it also gives credence to the phrase, hidden in plain sight, hey? Let's get to work, fellas.
What about the guy walking with the girls? What to make of him?
We don't have time to deal with him right now. We have the information from that surveillance. He's more than likely a witness, because he refers to others coming after the girls. Maybe he was the one who arrived at the home around 4 a.m. and stated, "I'm here to help you." It would explain why he didn't call us upon discovery, didn't want to put himself in the mix. Maybe, maybe not. It's possible he's involved, but I think he knew about a consequence, yet may have not known murders would take place. We'll leave that to Jane. We don't want her overloaded with so much to research at one time. There's enough on her plate. All right, let's keep pushing. This is the Chaos Sector.